Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, here with another tune-up. But before we get started, I wanted to remind you that if you like our content, please subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get our tune-ups, our do-a-brews, our Commander philosophy, and all of our special videos when they are released. Additionally, this will pre-qualify you for any future giveaways and contests we run on the site. Stay tuned for that because we've got some exciting announcements coming up. But let's see what's in the workshop today. Viewer David Sherman writes, I see lots of landfall and elemental decks built around the Omnaths, but Omnath Locus of Rage is my favorite. I've built this not to be either landfall or elemental tribal. While there are some landfall cards, the main one is Omnath. The token creation is the real synergy I'm looking for. Make lots of elementals and lightning bolt my opponents with them. I mulligan a lot and I'd like to improve consistency. Keep it under $600, please. How timely. We're just getting a new landfall-centric Omnath, so it's a great time to look at one of his previous iterations. This Omnath is a big boy, costing 7 mana with heavier color restrictions for a 5/5 body. The big benefits come after Omnath is in play, making each landfall into a 5/5 elemental. That can net you a small army quickly, and your win cons in this deck are clear. Either you beat in with your army of elemental tokens, or you sacrifice them all to lightning bolt your opponents with Omnath's triggered ability. Your current deck list is doing some things really well. In particular, cards like Garruk's Uprising, Hammer of Perforos, and Nylea, God of the Hunt, all increase the value of subsequent creatures you play. That's what you want to do. Turn a vanilla 5/5 elemental token into a 5/5 trample haste elemental. Next, you're focusing on landfall with several ways to ramp. That's great because you want to get to Omnath faster and have the ammunition to be able to trigger landfall. Just mind the mana costs of some of your ramp spells. Strike a balance with 2, 3, and 4 casting cost ramp effects. You're also running many more lands than are typical, which is perfect. It helps with your higher than average curve, which is sitting just below 4 mana, and gives you the lands to keep hitting landfall. And good for you for using only 1 land that comes into play tapped. Like you said, the big synergies we want to play up are in regards to making those tokens. Terror of the Peaks, Warstorm Surge, and Where Ancients Tread are going to be supplemental win cons, accelerating our plan of throwing elementals at our opponents. It looks like you're light on ways to throw these elementals though. Goblin Bombardment and either Ashnod's Altar or Altar of Dementia are amazing outlets, with Bombardment and Altar of Dementia serving as discrete alternate win conditions. Now, there is quite a bit in here that isn't really servicing your game plan and seem pretty win more. Nyxbloom Ancient, Gruul Rage Beast, and even Greater Hoof Behemoth are, dare I say, unnecessary in the deck. You're going to have an army of 5/5s that you're going to be able to give trample. Does your playgroup consist of decks that can shrug that off easily? I also want to improve the breadth of some of your land tutors. It looks like you're often casting a spell to go get a single land into your hand with cards like Once Upon a Time, Seek the Wilds, and Adventurous Impulse. With the amount of extra land drops you can get, you're going to want more cards into your hand. Nissa's Pilgrimage, Mulch, and Animist's Awakening are going to be more prolific land tutors. More lands in your hand means more elementals on board later. You've included a couple of mana dorks in the deck, Birds of Paradise and Llanowar Elves, but creatures creating mana isn't really what you want here. Instead, you want ramping creatures that put lands into play. So I'd recommend 1-to-1 swaps for Arboreal Grazer and Sakura Tribe Scout. Both assist in getting more lands into play early and aren't dead draws late game when you need more landfall triggers and have a mitt full of cards. Speaking of a mitt full of cards, you've included Praetor's Council in the deck. At a hefty 8 mana, it gets you back everything from your yard. Sure, but what if the stuff in your yard isn't great? I feel you should always seek reusable sources of card advantage, so I've replaced Council with Greater Good. Not only is it a card draw engine, but it's another sack outlet, checking off 2 of your must-have options in the deck. I'd also want to include another line to victory here, as it's very likely Omnath may get prohibitive to cast very, very quickly. 7 mana turns to 9 mana, turns to 11 mana, before you can really catch up with it. I want to capitalize on a few cards you have in the deck already, namely Valakut the Molten Pinnacle and Dryad of Elysian Grove. Together, these make every land drop after number 5 another source of lightning bolts. Let's do that more, namely with the additions of Prismatic Omen and Scapeshift. Scapeshift with Omen and Dryad means you can fetch Valakut and everything else will be lightning bolts. Add in a Field of the Dead and you're also making an inordinate amount of zombies. For upgrades, I want to look at your graveyard, particularly with Crucible of Worlds and Ramunap Excavator. But right now, there's not a whole lot in your yard to return with these cards, unless we add more fetch lands. Fabled Passage, Windswept Heath, and Pseudo Fetches are great in this deck. You have 2 fetches in right now. The next step would be to add more. Fetches enable 2 landfalls in a single turn. And with your graveyard capable of acting as your land reserves, you can combo Crucible of Worlds with an Azusa Lost But Seeking for up to 6 landfall triggers each and every turn. You can also get a little nasty here by including Strip Mine and Wasteland in the deck. Targeted land destruction on a land is a crucial part of counterplay, but getting a quick way to play these lands from your yard and multiple lands per turn can swiftly eliminate players before they have a chance to strike back. Be careful when choosing this route. It doesn't sit well with a lot of playgroups. David, let us know in the comments below how you've decided to upgrade your deck. And to everybody else, let us know in the comments below how you would continue to upgrade this deck as well. I know that a deck build is as unique as a fingerprint, so let us know what your Omnath Locus of Rage decks look like. Let's take a look at our final deck list. So what I've done in this tune-up is bring the curve down just a little bit and decided to alter some of the ways that we're getting lands into our hands and ways that we're ramping. One of our goals is to get to Omnath as quickly as possible, but we want to make sure that Omnath has support while he's out. So we want to get some of our combo pieces, we want to get lots of land ramp, and we want to get lands into our hand so that we can get landfall triggers. If we cast Omnath and get a landfall trigger before he's removed, then we've gotten value out of 7 mana, making 2 bodies and lightning bolting twice, ideally. Like I mentioned, I changed some of our mana dorks in here to include our Boreal Grazer, Sakura Tribe Scout, and Sakura Tribe Elder because they fetch lands for us. Sakura Tribe Scout in particular is an all-star in a lot of landfall-centric decks. This is mainly because it can be activated at instant speed to get us an elemental token or a landfall trigger on our opponent's turns. That can turn into a surprise blocker or a surprise lightning bolt if we need to. Our secondary line to victory within the deck is, of course, the Valakut Scapeshift line. With Prismatic Omen and Dryad of Elysian Groves, we're able to have different ways and redundancy to get this combo out. Even on its own, Scapeshift is a great way at multiple landfall triggers. I really hope that David finds the deck more consistent with more keepable hands, especially with some early ramp options. I really like what he's done, including a higher number of lands, and I think that it suits this deck well. Until next time, folks, remember, good luck and have fun. As always, a big shout out to our patrons. Thank you, everyone. We could not do this without you. In particular, a special shout out this week to our Lodestone Golems, Ben Frayne, Will Briggs, Sterling Langford, and Ben Davis, and our Metalwork Colossi, Nick Cooper, Charles Olson, Austin Charlotte, Thoughts in Flight, Drew Ellis, and Baby Hades. Thank you, all of you. All advice in this video is advice only. Commander is about having fun your way. Don't let anybody tell you how to play EDH.